All right, we made it. We are live. We are in the year of 2017. I'm Bucky Beeman, commercial real estate agent in Rochester, Minnesota, and I'm here with a new friendly guest and the co-host. Who do I got on the line as the co-host?
Hi, I'm Julie Augustin. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'm focused on retail brokerage.
And I'm Rivers Evans. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and as of this week, I'm the SMB team lead at SD Squared.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
And our guest, Keenan Balwin from SiteZeus. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, Keenan Balwin here, co-founder and co-CEO of SiteZeus. Really excited to be on the show today and looking forward to participating.
Thank you for joining us. So we haven't had a show in a long time, so we have a lot to talk about in a little bit of time. So I'm going to be going rapid fire, just getting people to answer questions, and we have a lot of questions for you related to SiteZeus. So let's go ahead and start like we normally do, the CREvolve. What are we seeing out there right now? I'm going to kick it off, and I'm so excited to share this. These are Snapchat spectacles. And I just shared my first ever story last week with Snapchat spectacles. You click a button, you get 10 seconds, it goes to your memories. You can then share it to your story on Snapchat. I also took it and shared it on Instagram. I feel like this is the start of a lot to come related to recording from eyewear, like waterproof and so many other things. But also I think this is the start of being able to see in our industry properties by clicking a button right here in my eyewear. This is the very beginning. It was a lot of fun to work with. I'm excited of doing more property tours with it. I did a market update, and it's a fun new tool that I get to add. And the product design is sweet too. They just easy to charge. It's light. It's not heavy. You don't even know you have a camera on your head. So that's my new thing for the CREvolve. I might keep those on my head the whole show.
There you go.
Julie, what do you got?
Just to comment on your spectacles too, I just saw that the head of retail for Oakley is now leading the head of retail for Snap. And so it just kind of, they have so much press about of these locations. I'm curious, where did you get your spectacles?
Actually, it came from another real estate agent in New York that follows me on Snapchat, and he shot me a message and said, "Hey, would you like a pair? There's a pop-up shop," and I, of course, so he sent it to me, and I just got it on last Thursday.
I've been loving seeing the spaces, especially we're going to talk to Keenan about retail site selection here, and I love seeing some of these photos of where they've been placing the spectacle boxes, and so it really does. It's going to be interesting, and knowing that they've hired someone that from eyeglass manufacturer, clearly retail focused. It'll be interesting to see where else they pop up.
For sure. Julie, what are you seeing in the CREvolve since we last talked?
Yeah, so again, with 2017, we have so much to talk about. I think something I really wanted to talk about tonight was just this afternoon, the Real Estate Tech Awards, hashtag RETAS, announced their first, they'll roll it out as far as the voting was in November, December. And now they're putting out the results. And it was really interesting. So the first one was the best overall CRE tech website for 2016. And the top four, so number one, Hightower, which now, of course, that has merged with View the Space. View the Space VTS was number 4 on the list. So those have merged. Number 2 on the list was CompStack, which is integrated within VTS. And then number 3, Floored, just got acquired by CBRE last week. So it's just, I think we're going to see even more of this. And Keenan, interested as far as your opinion on it, as far as more to come, as far as more mergers and dollars into the CRE tech space.
Awesome. And then let's move on to Rivers. What are you seeing in the CREvolve since we last talked in the old year of 2016?
Yeah, so I'm sure most of y'all have seen this already. CRE.tech's got live events now in New York. So they've got facilities management coming up at the end of this month. They've got property management next month, and then brokerage in March. So it looks like they're going to have some good thought leaders in the space, people from Newmark, Grubb, and Compass are going to be at the facilities management, educational conference. So if anybody's in New York, go ahead and check it out. Sign up. I think it's only like $65 for the day. Definitely worth going.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I saw Duke Long is part of that as well, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Quick question on that. When you say live, am I going to be able to watch it from Rochester, Minnesota?
I don't know what they're doing. I would send Travis or somebody, a quick ping and ask them. But as far as I know, they're all in person.
All right. Sounds good. Keenan, putting you on the spot, what are you seeing out there in the CREvolve?
Yeah, so I don't think it's anything that's necessarily extremely new, but certainly very excited about Uber Eats, not only personally. I know we've even used it to order some donuts here at the office for the Mini Donut Factory, so shout out to them here in Tampa for the team. But I'm really excited about what that's going to do for not only small emerging brands, concepts, but even large organizations, because the type of data that's going to be able to be collected and then obviously used to extrapolate it on and better understand consumers' buying patterns, spending patterns, and how that just affects the overall retail strategy of organizations. I mean, obviously delivery's been a key component of certain retail segments, certain businesses, but the more Uber gets involved in the food delivery business, I think the better. I mean, especially to the end consumer, right? I mean, it's certainly opening up accessibility to a lot of smaller concepts and brands, and just how the end user can get a product, which at the end of the day benefits all of us. So I think the question is how can we leverage that data going forward?
That's great. All right. Well, let's get into the show. I'm excited to learn more about SiteZeus. This is my first time really getting introduced to it. So if I were to be out there on Google and I stumble across it, and instead of reading your bio, I had the ability to actually talk to one of the co-founders, what would you tell me about SiteZeus? What's the exciting company you have going?
Sure. So SiteZeus is a location intelligence technology company. Our MTP, if you will, is building higher intelligence around location-based decisions. So at the end of the day, that we have developed a platform and technology that allows end users and organizations to aggregate, consume, digest copious amounts of data, and really distill that down into digestible, actionable insights that can be used throughout location-based decisions. So really, leveraging, we hear the term big data a lot, but really leveraging an engine to consume a lot of different data points to further mitigate risk when going through a decisioning process around locations.
That's great. And go ahead and explain that to somebody that's a commercial real estate agent in 120,000 population community and doesn't deal with national brands very much. Just make it a little dumber for me. I'm sorry. I gotta take it down to my level. So how can I grasp that?
Sure. No. Good point. How can you grasp that? Basically, we are allowing an individual or empowering an individual to, at the click of a button or a couple clicks of a button, better understand how a site is going to perform, or better understand the data points beyond just household level demographics of how population is moving, how cars are moving throughout a particular trade area or location by leveraging different data sources, whether that's through mobile devices, cell phones, the connected cars. So we're leveraging a lot of different third-party data relationships and bringing that into a central system that allows you as a user to access that data, whether that's direct to benefit you directly or benefit your client as the end user.
Awesome. That's great. And I'm going to pass the mic over to Julie. Yeah. Go ahead and ask some questions, because I know you are, you know a lot more about SiteZeus than I do.
Yeah, Keenan and I first met, I think it was like 2 years ago now at ICSC in Florida, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so really enjoyed meeting you, and just keeping in touch over these last couple of years and seeing as your product continues to just build. Mm-hmm. One of the most powerful features that I've seen from it, and Buggy, you would enjoy this as well, just the visual of the heat map. what would you describe as kind of your differentiating from your competitives, you know, as far as what really makes SiteZeus stand out?
Sure. So a couple things, right? One, when we think about the product today, we really designed and architected it to really serve the end user as a brand today. That's not to say that the product, as you've seen it evolve, Julie, over the last 2 years and over the next 2 years, we're going to continue to expand on that to have more of a focus on the broker, developer, landlord side of the business. But the application today is mainly focused as the end user to a retailer, whether that's a Chick-fil-A or some national or regional or even local brand such as that. And they're able to leverage our application to create predictive intelligence and do it in real time. So historically, the process that organizations or individuals would go through to create that type of intelligence would be a very consultative, manual, laborious type process. And so we've architected and developed a platform that, again, empowers an individual inside an organization to be able to create that level of intelligence on the fly, leveraging the application that's been built from the ground up on Azure. And so some of the differentiating factors, like you mentioned, our heat map, right? We've all seen a heat map of a certain level of income or population or a certain ethnicity. We actually take it a step further and really even beyond what I think some of the terminology, you know, people leverage smart filter maps where you can heat map 1, 2, or 3 different variables and weight them. We actually, what we do with our heat maps is we actually take the idea of getting a sales projection from a predictive model at a single location. We're actually able to take that single projection and extrapolate that out over a trade area, over a market, over a region, over the entire country. So we're actually able to heat map your actual predictive model of raw sales potential. So whether that's looking at an existing market where I've built out 5, 10, 15 stores and I want to understand, you know, is there infill opportunity here? Have I optimized this market in the best possible way? Or am I going into a green market and I want to better understand where should I best allocate my resources, the feet on the ground, to at least start that planning process. So in terms of the heat map, you know, I think that's one thing that we haven't seen any other applications be able to render that an entire predictive model in real time inside an application, leveraging all of those data points that we've brought into the system.
Pass it on to Rivers.
Sure. So I'm checking out Synergy, and I've definitely come across y'all before, and this is something, you know, I think a lot of people can just nerd out on. But in terms of the AI and machine learning, what is the difference in your data set, I guess I'm going to say the back end? What's the difference from the 1,000th session to the 1,000,000th session? What's going on with machine learning to improve your product?
So that's a great question. That's where we're able to leverage the benefit of all of our users, right? So not only all the data that we've pre-aggregated in the background from household level demographics, transportation patterns, population movements by hour of day, whatever data that we've consumed into the product, as more users come onto the application, come onto the platform, we obviously de-identify those data points and even the relationships that are generated, right, from a particular performance segment or revenue segment with an individual data point in the system. So whether that's example being, let's say, a 50 or 75,000 to 100,000 of income, you know, has this strength of a relationship with lunch sales for a particular brand in a particular segment. So those type of relationships are de-identified in terms of who that user is, who the brand is, but those relationships can then be consumed and studied and further extrapolated on as the machine or the model or the engine, best put, can continue to consume that. And so over time, you know, as we get into additional verticals, add additional brands within verticals, the platform just continues to get smarter and smarter as more data is fed into the system. So hopefully that answered the question in short.
No, it does, and hopefully it becomes more accurate, like you said, smarter, and that's a part of that. Everybody that uses your platform, they have site criteria. They have criteria in mind for site selection. Come out with new criteria based on models or suggestions from your platform?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So, and it's kind of ironic you asked that. So everybody has a instinct or a gut, or just leveraging the historical data points that they've used for the last 5, 10, 15 years. And that's what we ask them to bring to the table as well, is those locational characteristics or site attributes. Obviously, we're learning as well, and the machine's learning to better understand which characteristics seem to drive performance within certain regions, geographies, and verticals. And so it's absolutely part of the application and even the process and training and implementation process that we go through, is to help them identify new opportunities for data capture, or even insights or relationships that maybe historically they wouldn't have thought to look at or consider. So it actually happens quite often where we'll onboard a user and we'll build out, let's say, a layer maybe that there's a brand that they feel is directly competing against them. And so once we actually build that layer out and the machine's able to study that data point or that point of interest across all their locations, sometimes they tend to find that that brand is actually synergistic to them when you look at it. And so, you know, that's one thing that we try to teach our users, is that part of the reason why they originally subscribed to the application, and part of, I think, what is compelling is that it's not built to always agree with you, right? We let the data objectively tell the narrative or tell the story. And that doesn't always line up with what maybe your instinct or your gut's telling you. So it's certainly a balance, and sometimes you know, you have to work with the user to understand how to digest that.
So a question I would have, and I'm very passionate about social, consumers are putting out more about themselves, about what their wants are, about where they're at any given time, whether it's within a location of Instagram or however else you can geolocate it. Is there any tie from the consumer to the tool, which then that data point can be shared with the end user?
Absolutely, that's a great question. And so we've created a data exchange here at SiteZeus. So with any subscription, a user gets a base set of data, and then they're able to add in additional data points. And so to your question that you bring up, some of those data points are directly tied to those mobile phone devices, and actually tracking and pinging those individuals throughout the day of where they're actually moving and trading to in particular regions or trade areas. And so that data is fed directly back into our system, if that's a bundle that they've purchased in our exchange, to then be included in their predictive model, their reporting, their visualization, and all of their analytics. So short answer is absolutely yes. That's part of part of the exchange is just creating accessibility to new and unique data sets that are out there.
Interesting. Another question that you have, Julie?
Yeah, last we talked, you were working on different levels, and where are you with that? Did you make that release?
We are. So we're actively working on that. As I touched on, I think in one of the last questions, the product that exists today and is out in the marketplace is called SiteZeus Synergy, and that's the product that really was built and focused for the retailer as the end user. We do have several large brokerage houses and larger developers leveraging that Synergy platform, but we are also working on building out 2 new tiers, SiteZeus Simply and SiteZeus Savvy, that are more directly focused on the broker, landlord, developer side of the business, with our end vision and our end goal really to deliver a solution and a platform to the entire ecosystem, if you will. And not only deliver a solution, but then tie in everybody that is part of that life cycle management process, whether it's starting the process of searching for a location, identifying those sites, submitting those sites, managing those sites once they've been identified. So we're actively working on that, and Simply and Savvy will be released at some point in the first half of 2017. So we're very excited and anxious about that.
All right, great. Well, we'll be on the lookout for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think these guys and our viewers would appreciate hearing just how you got into CRE tech and how got
Sure.
the idea for SiteZeus.
Absolutely. No, great question. So I actually co-founded the company with my brother Hannibal, and we were fortunate to have the opportunity to manage several different investments for our immediate family that were focused on the restaurant and retail space here in the Southeast. And so because of that, had a front row seat to the site selection process. All of the struggles and challenges and obstacles that entrepreneurs, founders, management teams go through when making that decisioning process, and had our own challenges and obstacles along the way. And through that, took a step back, and from our perspective, started to assess the marketplace and opportunity. And from our perspective, thought that there was an opportunity to leverage modern technology and modern statistical methodologies to further mitigate risk when going through that decisioning process. And that was almost 4 years ago now. And so we started back of the envelope a little over, I'd say 3.5 years ago. Started development of the platform and application shortly thereafter, and then officially released it into the marketplace in May of 2015. So it's been a lot of fun. Yeah,
no, it's been great to watch you. And I'm curious about what I touched on earlier as far as all these recent mergers, acquisitions, tech funding. Just wanted your take on that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot happening inside the commercial real estate space. I think it's interesting where I know there's been a lot of content written over the last several years about how real estate is slow to adopt technology. But I think recently we're starting to see a pretty large influx of capital be allocated and deployed within our space, which at the end of the day is very exciting. I think it creates unique opportunities for all of us, whether whether it's SiteZeus on the technology side, or whether you're a broker, a developer, a retailer, as an end user to a lot of these products. I think it's going to benefit all of us. So we're excited, and we're certainly keeping a close eye on where the funding's going, new startups, new companies, because we're always on the lookout for new data partnerships. And new organizations that we can have a synergistic relationship with. Absolutely.
That's great.
Out of curiosity, has there ever been talks with like CCIM and some of those groups?
Certainly aware of CCIM and some of those groups. Have not had any formal conversations. We've had some conversations in passing with some of the folks there, but haven't really sat down and had a real formal conversation yet. And I think that'll be timely this year for us if we can facilitate those conversations with the addition of Simply and Savvy to the product suite of SiteZeus, with really having a focus on those CCIM members.
Great. Any other questions, Rivers?
Yeah, I've got a quick question. So you got Synergy, and your interface, a big part of your interface is already your GIS layer, right?
Yeah, we're built on, we use Google Maps.
You're built on Google Maps.
Mm-hmm.
And you're coming out with a GIS in the near future. How exactly are you going to compete against 800-pound gorillas?
So like the Esris or the Map Infos of the world. So good question. So one thing that we've had to strive to really achieve with Synergy, and I'll kind of answer this question in a couple parts, but because I think it is related to your question. So one thing we've had to do with Synergy is we're obviously performing some relatively complex computations in the background that you as a user, you don't necessarily see all of that. And then it's presented to you in a very nice, elegant user interface that is digestible information that you can quickly identify how to leverage the information, how to navigate throughout the platform. And so we've spent a lot of time and focus on creating a very simple user experience. And so when I look at some of these other GIS applications that they do a lot, it's almost, and I certainly don't want to talk negatively about even like a Salesforce, because Salesforce, what a great company, but a beast of a product, a lot of features. You really, at the end of the day, almost have to go to school on how to use and maximize a tool like Salesforce. I feel like there's some similarities there between some of these other larger GIS type organizations or platforms that are out there, where in fact, some of them, you do go to school and you do get certifications for them. Where this is kind of, I feel like with our generation specifically, we're the generation that it doesn't read the directions. So let's just open the box and we're going to figure out, and let's figure out how to use it. That's, I think that same mindset has to go into your technology, right? If I have to read the directions and do all this training to understand how to use your product, I'm probably past it. I probably shut the computer, an hour ago. So that's been a big focus of ours, and a necessary one for Synergy, that it really waterfalls down into the other product suites.
That's awesome. And I think you're right on with that. I mean, think about how quickly we all delete apps. Like, the app didn't feel right, it's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
So where are you at related to mobile and apps in general? Are you there with your technology yet, or what do you see for the future?
That's definitely a consideration for us. Actually, this year, it's been a big discussion for our 2017 roadmap. It's something that I think we'll focus on in the latter part of the year. We've got a lot of big priorities that we're focused on getting out to the user base and a lot of the prospects in our pipeline. And certainly mobile is up pretty high up there, but I see us getting to that and really deploying that in the latter part of 2017.
Great. And as far as the brokerage community, what are some things that you're seeing in the brokerage community that's really helping the company, such as, are they embracing it? Are they asking the right questions? What are you seeing as far as the brokerage community connected with your tool?
Sure. So great question. There has been a lot of interest, particularly as we're starting to kind of pre-pitch Simply and Savvy a little bit. We've generated actually a massive early access list for those new product suites. So I know that list is just as anxious as we are to get that product out. So just the idea, even when we show the brokerage community the product that exists today, there's so much interest in really learning more about, is there value that can be delivered to them today, or even, how can I introduce this to my client as a value add, right? As a broker and serving my client, it's also my obligation to introduce to them the newest and latest technologies, or really any tool that can benefit them as the end user in going through those decisioning processes. So the interest from the brokerage community has been huge, and we're extremely excited to roll out the new product suites. And I think Synergy has served as a nice platform to start to generate that interest. And we're thankful to the brokerage community as well, because there's been a lot of instances where there's interest generated to them, and then they actually introduce us to one or a handful of their clients that ultimately become users, and it's a tool that they can collectively work with together on with their clients. So it's been great.
That's awesome. Any other questions?
No, that was a good summer.
You got your stuff together. You got your stuff together, Keenan. You definitely understand that side of the business. I will give it to you. You're using some words there that are way over my head.
I do that to make sure that I sound smarter. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And checking out your website here too, it looks like you have some great customers you're already working with. So as we wrap up the show, how can people reach out to you and your team at SiteZeus, whether they're looking to learn more about the product or looking at somehow working with you to build out the product better?
Sure, yeah. So you can reach out directly to me at kbaldwin@sitezeus.com, or just info@sitezeus.com. We'd love to talk to you, love to learn more about what your needs and objectives are, whether that's being an end user, a data partner, or another type of synergistic, mutually beneficial relationship, or if it's just you want to talk about technology in the CRE space. We're all just like we're doing now. Always excited to do that. So, and actually, we'll be hosting a webinar at the end of this month announcing the launch of a new data partner into the application, which is Uber Media. So Thursday, January 26th at 2 p.m., we're going to be hosting a webinar announcing that partnership and actually walking through the application with some of those new data sets, which should be pretty exciting.
That's awesome. Great. Thank you so much for joining us on the first official 2017 show. It goes down in the history books. And we look forward to continued conversations, both online and offline. and look forward to seeing what the viewers have to say about your product and watch your story as your group continually expands.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate you all having me on, and I think it's time to go watch the national championship game now, right?
That's right. Good function. Can you literally see it right out your window, Keenan?
What's that?
Can you like show us right outside the window? Can you see it?
Oh, it's going to be pretty dark, but I don't know.
Dark?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
don't know if you guys can see.
I wasn't sure how close you
Yeah,
were.
the stadium's actually right out that window. You can see it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the reflection, but I can see the lights of the stadium right now.
Very cool.
That's awesome. All right, well, enjoy, and thank you, Rivers. Thank you, Julie, and I look forward to the next episode of the CREvolve show. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We continually grow this great community, and your input matters, so keep it up.
Excellent. Thank you.